What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast where everyone knows your name. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. I'm Josh.
And I'm Tyler. And this is our podcast. We are 30 and nerdy.
29.
Okay, here we go again. Almost 30.
I have a few weeks left. You need to just let me enjoy them.
Alright, I'll let you enjoy them. But we can't exactly put like 29, half, and 30 and nerdy.
Why don't we call ourselves 30 and then in parentheses and 29.
And 29 and nerdy.
Or 30 in parentheses almost.
Almost.
But you really are 30.
I am 30.
So that's a lie for you.
It is. 29 plus 1 and nerdy.
Close enough.
Close enough.
I'll accept it.
So, we are sitting here in the Fortress of Joshitude, back in the man cave here, and
where else would you want to be?
Well, I mean, surrounded by all this amazing stuff. I mean, it really gets us in the mood to talk nerd, to talk shop with y'all. So, Josh, what have you been up to since I last saw you? How's your week been?
Today was field day at school.
Uh-huh.
And as you can see, you can't see because you're just listening. You can't see. That'd be kind of weird. But as he can see, I got a lot of sun today. Mm-hmm. I did not go prepared.
Are you ever?
No. One day I'll learn. But I got some sun, and I guess we should go ahead and tell our listeners if I start to sound a little hoarse or my voice does something funny, it's because I screamed a lot today during field day. I'm very competitive. Mm-hmm. So I sort of, my inner Hulk comes out and I get all crazy and competitive when we're playing the games. And
I used to teach with you.
Show a side of me that the kids never get to see.
I've done a couple field days with you. Yeah. Luckily on your team. Luckily on your side.
I get crazy.
I'd hate to be against you.
We came in second place in dodgeball, though.
Really?
Yeah, that was fun.
That's good.
And I had first place in cross country.
Nice.
And a couple other things. Tug of war did not go so well.
That's the one everyone's always most competitive with.
Well, I used to be undefeated.
Yeah.
A long time ago. But here we are.
You knew an algorithm.
Yeah.
That worked.
It worked every time until it did. So, how about you, man? What's been going on?
Well, last week, my girlfriend for my birthday had bought us Postmodern Jukebox tickets.
Nice. If you don't know who they are, you should look them up on Facebook. Postmodern Jukebox. They take any type of song you can think of. There's tons of different songs that they've done, all kinds of different genres and artists and styles, and they jazz it up literally and put a different sort of take on it.
20s feel.
Yeah.
It was a 20s feel to modern pop.
So how was that live?
It was amazing, dude. Like, the talent that they have, because there were some points where, like, there's one girl who really sticks out, and she played the clarinet 90% of the show. Until near the end of the show, they're like, oh, hey, you want to do a song? And she blew the dadgum roof off the place. And then the bass player also did something. And then, like, they all can sing and dance and
everybody was featured.
15 instruments at the same time. I've never seen so much talent on one stage, except for when we're on stage together. But it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. And they were really cranking up their next tour talking about it because at the end of this year, we're going to be back in the 20s.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to be in the 20s again.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be fun because the last time the arts had a real big blast was the 20s. Sure. You know, I think we should all live our life like Gatsby did in the 20s.
I was about to say, we should have big Gatsby parties.
We should. With the pool and everything. Just like they did in the film. Ooh. We'll talk about it.
All right, yeah.
We'll talk about it. But it was a lot of fun.
Take notes from Leo.
Yeah. Yeah, old sport.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. lot of talent on that stage, and I love going to Knoxville, and I love the Tennessee Theater. So,
I'm glad you had fun.
Speaking of Knoxville, we have got some cool news, but you have to stick through the show.
You got to listen to all the stuff we have to talk about before we tell you our big secret. But we do have big news, we think.
Yeah, I think.
And you're going to think so,
And you're going to think so, too.
So stick around until the end of the show.
Absolutely. At the end of the show, we will give you this new news, this secret, this fun, exciting thing that we get to do. But on a different note, in the world of nerd, you get to meet many people and become friends with many people. And we have two friends who could really use some positive vibes. We just wanted to let our good friends Logan, as well as Peyton Bowling, know that we're thinking about you. And actually, Revenge of the 5th is Peyton's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It was Peyton's birthday.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
May the 4th be with you was my girlfriend Madison's birthday, and Revenge of the 5th is Peyton Bowling's birthday. But we are thinking of you two, and happy late birthday, Peyton.
Yeah.
And
if there's anybody that could come on a podcast to talk about Star Wars, it's Peyton Bowling. Let me tell you that. I
may, whenever we do the next Star Wars cast, just sit back and listen to the two of you talk, because it's just his knowledge. I mean, I don't know anyone who can go toe to toe with you, but it's definitely Peyton.
Yeah.
Speaking of May the 4th be with you, it was this past weekend.
Yes.
Did you celebrate?
No. Normally I do, and there are some times when I go all out for it when I can. But now, having a little one that I hang out with on the weekends, Star Wars Celebration did not really go down much this year. We watched about half of Rogue One, and I was so hopeful that she would be interested in all the flashing red and green lights and all the cool stuff, and she did not care at all because it wasn't Mickey Mouse. So we gave that up. But I did wear a Star Wars shirt.
I did too.
So I was celebrating in spirit in the best way that I could.
Absolutely. I wore my Star Wars shirt. It actually, like I said, though, it was Madison's birthday, so me and the family took her to eat for her birthday, and then we came home, because it was ugly out. We were going to play putt-putt and pigeon forage, but it was just too ugly. And then we watched the Kentucky Derby, so
who doesn't?
Big of a 4th of May for us. Last year I did watch all of Empire. Empire is usually one of my go-to absolute Star Wars films. I think it's my favorite one.
Yeah,
I really think it is. But
it's a common.
Not a very eventful May the 4th for us, and it's like one of the holiest of nerd days.
This is what happens when you're 30, and when you're almost 30.
When you're almost 30, things change.
Boy, do they ever.
Kids get involved, wives get involved.
What a thing.
Life happens.
It does.
So, on the Star Wars track, we also got sad news last week. We lost another star from the world of Star Wars. We lost Peter Mayhew, who was Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 through 7, correct?
He did the originals, he did the prequels, and he did the first of the new ones. And then he came on as like a Chewbacca consultant for not Rogue One. Chewbacca's not in Rogue One.
For Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
And Solo.
Solo, that's what I was trying to say. So he was around, and he had been very involved in the Star Wars universe and the fan base the entire time that it's been a thing. He's always been a part, and he went to all the conventions. I got to meet him once, I think. I've got a couple of things signed by him. I can't say that he was exceptionally like this warm, sweet, lovely
personable guy.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't rude or anything like that. But I did find out some interesting things I did not know about him.
Really?
Peter Mayhew started a foundation, the Peter Mayhew Foundation, a non-profit, and I couldn't find out a whole lot about it, but the page did say that it specializes in helping needy families, especially children, with any sort of anything that might happen that they would need help with.
Really?
Yeah. So I saw something that said that in lieu of flowers and things like that, the family had asked for people to make donations to the Peter Mayhew Foundation, and cool. If that's something that you are interested in, want to find out more about, in honor of Peter Mayhew, our Chewbacca, the website is petermayhewfoundation.org.
Cool.
So there you go.
That's cool. Chewbacca, I think, is one of those characters that, like, obviously he's not a Luke, a Han, or those main, but he still drives this story. He's one of those characters that I don't think you could have Star Wars without Chewbacca.
Chewbacca is the space wingman.
Yes. Literally, he's the space wingman.
And the muscle.
Yeah.
Because if they're walking into like a tough neighborhood or something and they've got Chewbacca with them, you don't got to worry because everybody's going to make way for the Wookiee.
Oh, absolutely. Because he could rip your arm off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which actually brings up one of my favorite Chewbacca moments is when they're playing like that space chess game. And Han's like, oh, you shouldn't beat a Wookiee. They don't like to lose. And he's like, he'll rip your arm.
C-3PO.
Yeah, it was against 3PO. And he just sits back and puts his arm behind him.
Actually, I lied. It was against R2-D2.
Was it against R2?
The 3PO was watching. Spectating.
Spectating. Right. And I also loved... I loved his gun. It looked like a crossbow.
Bowcaster.
Yeah, bowcaster. Cool gun. And at one point in the 7th movie, Han gets to use it. I like this.
Yeah. That was a cool moment.
That was a cool moment. And I hated Chewbacca's reaction to Han dying.
Yeah.
That was sad.
But I did like that after he had his moment, he took out, 15 stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he went nuts.
Wookiee rage.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah, and I loved that Chewie was even around in the prequels. Yoda kind of rode on his back in the third installment of the prequels.
Yep.
And helped him, saved him.
They were on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, helped save him from Order 66. But what's your favorite Chewie moment? Out of the hundreds.
For some reason, I always liked when, in Return of the Jedi, when Han gets out of the carbonite and they throw him into that cell in Jabba's palace and Chewie's down there and he grabs him and he hugs him and Chewie starts like petting Han and everything. I always liked that moment. I don't know why.
I like in that same film shortly afterwards, whenever Han can't see very well still, and he's like, and he's like, Boba Fett. Where's Boba Fett? Turns around and like knocks somebody down
into the Sarlacc.
into the Sarlacc pit. That's very funny. A lot of great Chewie moments.
Oh, and I always loved Cloud City Chewie carrying 3PO on his back
like a backpack.
Picking him out of the garbage and trying to put him back together. I always loved that too.
Definitely great. Chewie
Rest in peace, Peter Mayhew. Thanks for your contributions.
Absolutely. To a huge nerd universe.
For sure.
Absolutely. But our primary reason for tonight's episode is the series of Gotham ended after 5 seasons. And we've watched the series finale a couple times now. Taken notes. We're going to break it down for you. So if you have not seen the series finale of Gotham, and it is something you're going to do, spoilers are ahead. So you have been warned.
But there's not much to spoil, though, is there?
There's really not.
Then that doesn't take away from the quality of the episode. Because I enjoyed it.
I did too, but
let's think about it. The premise of the show was
leading up to Batman.
Early
Gotham.
Early Bruce Wayne, Jim Gordon, the origin of the villains and how Gotham became the way it was, and we all know how that's going to end. Batman's going to show up and start to clean things up a little bit. So you probably already knew that. Yeah. So if you didn't, there's your spoiler right there.
Batman shows up in the end.
Batman is a part of Gotham City.
I loved the one big thing about just deep diving already into this thing, the opening. I liked that they still started out with Bruce showing up to this Nanda Parbat looking area. Very reminiscent of the first Batman of Christopher Nolan.
Batman Begins.
Yes, showing up to where Ra's, but we've already seen Ra's in this series, so we're to be made to believe that someone else trains him.
You call him Ra's?
Not Raish, I know.
I call him Raish.
Raish.
Yeah.
There's different Ra's al Ghul, Raish al Ghul.
Yeah.
Like, even Liam Neeson in Batman Begins calls him Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
But there are people call him Raish.
I like that. I like Raish.
You like Raish? Okay.
That's my. I mean, you call him what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way I always say it.
Yeah.
I was surprised that you didn't. I guess.
I know in the Arkham games they call him Raish.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people got changing it from Ra's to Raish. But
well, in the
Ra's
animated series, wasn't he Raish?
To some people, and to Ra's to some people. So it's different people pronounce it different ways. Like, in the animated series, I'm pretty sure it's Alfred who calls him Ra's, and Bruce, of course, calls him Raish.
Alfred's weird, though.
Alfred's
British.
Alfred's British.
He doesn't count.
How dare you? So, and then, like, you have this whole voiceover letter to Alfred saying, like, you won't hear from me for a while. Mm-hmm. Setting up that whole, 10-year time jump. Because then, boom, right after that, bam, we're 10 years later in Gotham.
Which we anticipated because, like we said, we know what happens. Batman becomes
Batman,
the savior of Gotham, and goes around and has all these infamous and well-noted battles and interactions with all these villains in this universe. And we know that this show sets that up. So the only ending result would have to be moving forward into the future to when Batman does show up.
That year one aspect, right? That first year back. And then I loved the little, in the sit down at the beginning after that 10-year time jump where you actually get to see Gordon with a mustache.
Right.
And he's got a little gray in his hair. It's been 10 years. And he's even kind of portraying him a little slower speaking.
I'm not a big fan of Ben McKenzie, who plays Jim Gordon. I've never cared about Jim Gordon, the character on this show. I didn't like the actor, to be honest. I mean, I can't even tell you why. Just for me, something was weird about it. I felt like he growled and grunted a lot.
Well, he's British.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that impresses me a little bit more.
And he's actually married to the girl who plays
Lee
in real life.
Nice.
And another fun fact
what a
is
woman.
Ben McKenzie voiced Batman in Year One.
I think I did know
in
that.
the Year One movie. So he's played Gordon and Batman.
I don't care what you say. I still don't like him.
You don't have to like him. I can't say I love him.
But I did notice that, like, I believe that this is 10 years later.
Yeah.
When I first saw him and he started to talk and he moved around and then I saw what they did with his hair and the mustache, which I love the mustache because that's the Gordon we all know.
Yeah, that's the Gordon we know.
And they teased us with it because then he shaves it off. Somebody gives him a hard time about it and he shaves it off.
Barbara gives him a hard time.
I tried a thing and it didn't work. It did work because that's Jim Gordon.
Absolutely.
But it made me laugh, so.
Yeah, but it also kind of like, it'll probably come back.
Well, it does come back.
Yeah, I mean,
we just won't see it on the show because
the show's over. But I enjoyed that. I didn't see as big a 10-year jump with Bullock, though.
No.
He didn't play him any different.
Didn't either.
They didn't maybe add some weight onto him, some gray in his hair. He didn't talk differently. Mm-hmm. He was just Harvey still. Of course, I love Donald, who plays Bullock. The actor who plays Bullock.
Now, I liked him.
Yeah.
I did like Bullock a lot.
Yeah. But, he's way different than most of the Bullocks. Like the animated
He's a true
Harvey
dirty
Bullock.
cop, usually, right?
He's usually a true dirty cop, always after Batman. Hates the vigilante aspect, always goes against Gordon to fight the Batman as opposed to liking him.
Yeah.
But I love Bullock in this show. Mm-hmm. He's great. They give him a character arc. they give him something that you can kind of latch on to, like, oh, come on, Harvey.
Well, whereas, like, Jim was very, by the book. He was, babyface, do everything. He's very honorable, do everything the right way, in the honorable way. He was very Ned Stark, Yeah,
absolutely.
And Harvey was more of the anti-hero. He was
just
a little more like, let's just get it done, and then we'll go have a drink, and everything
doesn't matter how we get it done.
Yeah.
We may get it done in a crooked manner.
It was a good contrast for that team, and that team they really are the ones who led the show for the 5 seasons.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely. And you could see that Gordon rubbed off on Bullock. Bullock did change over time into more of an honorable cop.
Right.
But early on, points that you see pretty quickly is Barbara Gordon as a kid, young Batgirl.
Batgirl, yeah. I put a note that I was really excited to see young Batgirl, and that, if you're a kid living in Gotham City and you don't have a run-in with a supervillain, then your experience is far different than most kids. So Barbara got hers out of the way early when the Joker pulls her into to the chemical plant.
Yeah, and getting to see Barbara Keene with red hair, but not married to Gordon. That was still a rough storyline for me to follow.
I'm confused about something here. Okay, so like 10 years later, we know who the villains have been for the past 4 and 5 seasons of this show. Mm-hmm. Riddler, he's in Arkham Asylum. His hair is all grown out. He's been serving his time. The Penguin's in Blackgate Prison. He's serving his time. And the Joker, they don't call him the Joker. They call him Jeremiah.
Yeah.
But he's the Joker.
Yeah.
The Joker's there in
catatonic state for 10 years.
Well, so we think, right?
So we think, yeah.
So he's there and he's like a vegetable. The Riddler says, "Oh, Jeremiah's been a vegetable for 10 years, but he's a legend." And people come in and like stab Jeremiah in the leg, and he doesn't flinch or move or react at all. But what's so amazing about that is that we find out he was faking the whole time.
And still didn't flinch.
It just shows you
I feel like
how
the
crazy
breaking
the
of the pencil was an homage to Heath's joke in Dark Knight. Because he's like, if you're going to torture a legend, stabs him in the leg, you gotta do it right. Yeah, and I think it's kind of an homage.
It could be. I didn't notice that, but it could have been. Okay, so the thing I'm confused about, Riddler's locked away, Joker's locked away, Penguin's locked away, all the bad guys are locked up, but Barbara Keane's still out walking around, and she was a criminal.
She was.
For the whole show. Was it like... Did Arkham and Blackgate fill up, and then they were like, "Hey, what about this one?" And they're like, "Oh, we're pretty full. That's okay. This one will probably be okay. We'll let her go."
I think that the last season really showed the
humanity of Barbara because she had a kid.
The emancipation of her too. She saw the error of her ways, and she ended up helping defend the city and helping save Gotham and. Really, so
that negates all the terrible things she did before. This chick killed her parents.
That's true.
And who knows what else, because I lost count of all the terrible things that all these people did throughout this show. And it's like, oh, we're just going to let this one go. No worries. She'll probably be okay.
Well, she served for a while. Around. She was in Arkham for a bit. Like season 2, season 3, something like that. Before the big breakout. So I think she technically served her time for that and was let go. To then change her ways.
It could be. There's a lot of things.
She opened the Sirens Club and was trying to become a legitimate.
But she was still
a villain
into all kinds of
terrible stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
And then I guess when she helped Bruce kill Ra's al Ghul, everybody's like, "Oh, hey, she's not so bad after all. We kind of need her around." But in this flash forward, she has red hair, long red hair, and she's known as the Queen of Gotham. So, I don't know what happened, but, I mean, I do see your point. She did murder her parents.
Did we just forget about how crazy this chick is, and we're going to let her,
because she has a
run stuff now?
I don't know. That is, I think, possibly not a full-on plot hole.
It's probably not. I'm sure there's some explanation that I've missed, because I didn't go back and watch all the other episodes twice like I did with this one. And I'm sure there's things I missed, but I feel like in this episode, I didn't get an answer to that. Maybe there should have been some mention of,
maybe she had counseling or something.
I don't know, something. But it seemed like everyone was pretty clear on the fact that Barbara is a villain. She's crazy. Don't mess with her. Don't trust her. And then it's like she's having milk and cookies with her daughter and, everybody, and they're all a big happy family.
And splitting parent time with Jim Gordon. So they took the whole mythos of Barbara Gordon, the mom Barbara Gordon,
Barbara Keene,
completely changed it.
Right.
She not only doesn't marry Jim, Lee and Jim get married, but she spent most of the show as a criminal until she had young Barbara. So they changed that mythos. What did you, after all that, we flash forward to, like you said, Edward's in
Arkham.
His hair's all long, and he's laughing a lot and shouting, "Hey, hey, hey!" a lot. But I know that you loved his portrayal of the Riddler.
Yeah. He was my favorite part of the show. And I probably would have said that even if I didn't love the Riddler so much. I just thought he was so good. He was so consistent. And I believed him. Whereas I did not enjoy the Penguin. And he was most people's favorite character from the show.
Yeah.
What's the guy's
Robin
name?
Lord Taylor.
Right. And I'll say that on this last one, on the last episode, when I saw him in his full getup with the monocle and the big hat, and his nose was different,
and he's gained weight.
He gained a little bit of the weight.
Yeah.
Then it sort of worked for me a little more. Like, I used to hate that he would just scream all the time. Rah, rah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that kind of makes sense now. And now that I see him as the Penguin, and I see him in the getup, I believe it, and I'll take it now. But throughout the show, for all those 5 seasons...
Well, for pretty much up until now, he's been this taller, thin, gangly, limping.
Very
not
gaunt,
a waddle.
even,
not really a waddle. A limp.
Whiny.
Whiny.
He just whined all the time.
Nothing's fair. I deserve this, blah, blah, blah. Really, Jim?
Yeah.
Just
right.
stuff like that. And, I remember when Gotham first started, you weren't exactly on board.
I was never thrilled about the idea of the show.
Because it was basically like SVU with DC characters.
Exactly. That's what I was concerned about. And there were times when it did feel like that,
No, I agree.
And there were a lot of times it was like the same type of story over and over again. Oh, the whole city's in danger, and Jim Gordon and a couple of the villains are going to work together. You don't know who's going to be able to trust who. Oh, and what do you know? The villains betray Jim in the end, and then he's in an even worse situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I got tired of that type of story being told over and over and over again. But there were a lot of moments where I did really enjoy it. A lot of bright spots that I would get excited about.
Hatter was great.
I loved the Mad Hatter. I loved most of the Doctor Strange stuff.
B.D. Wong as Doctor Strange is fantastic.
I feel like they stretched that out too much, and they used the Doctor Strange thing too much. It's like, oh, this guy's dead, this guy's dead. Oh, just kidding, we can bring him back to life. And everybody comes back to life.
The stuff was a little too much of the season.
Right.
Too long of a story arc. But I really did enjoy... I didn't hate the Mr. Freeze stuff. I felt he got shafted a little bit as a character because I felt like maybe he's a villain that could have been used more.
They did do a good job, though, of bringing in so many of the villains. So
we got to see Firefly.
Sure. Yeah.
And you rarely get to, aside from the games, you rarely get to see Firefly as one of Batman's villains.
And we had Ivy and, like we said, Doctor Strange.
Hatter.
Who
was great. The guy from Walking Dead played one of the wild people from the wilderness. Went on to play Hatter.
The wolves, weren't they?
The wolves, yeah. He was one of the wolves. He was great. Fantastic as Hatter.
Everything rhymed.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a good job.
It was just great. But yeah, I think Edward was great with seeing him start out as Ed, working in the crime lab. As basically like a CSI morgue technician, and you caught little details of him, like riddling a little bit. Like he'd be like, "Oh, hey, detective, add enough." Not, we've got...
Made sense.
Yeah, and
right from the get-go, it made sense that this guy would become the Riddler.
Yes, absolutely.
And it explains how and why he's so smart, This is the job that he has, and it makes sense that he would, do autopsies and find out, what happened to this victim and...
What makes a brain tick.
All that stuff that he did like that makes sense. Because it shows how smart he is. That he can pick those little things apart and he knows all these little details and become, who eventually
to use those gifts as a villain.
Yeah.
But you can also see what pushed him to become a villain.
Yeah.
Not taken seriously, not listened to, pushed aside as the nerd, the dweeb who, there was the story arc with the girl that he liked and the jerk cop. And that's when he first snapped and killed someone and hid the body. And, he did this whole multiple personality type thing, talking to himself in the mirror. And it was very good. I would definitely agree with he was a strength of the show.
Yep.
Robin Lord Taylor, like you said, didn't see it till the end.
It took the whole show for me to...
believe he was the Penguin.
Yeah.
And it took the suit, gaining weight, and the color scheme, the purple and black color scheme.
The monocle was a big deal.
The fact that his nose somehow changed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have an answer to how that happened. I'm guessing in the defense of Gotham, the grenade shrapnel hit him in the face, which caused him to have a glass eye. Maybe it also affected his nose.
I think so.
So... After that, you get this whole, Edward thinks that Oswald's breaking him out of Arkham because there's a note, and here's your suit back, and let's remind him who the Riddler is. Here's some bombs. I want you to steal the mayor and try to blow him up again, blah, blah, blah. The gala's happening tonight, and Bruce is supposed to return to Gotham for the first time in 10 years. So... Then we see this whole little segment of Selina, grown-up Selina Kyle, who has embraced the Catwoman cat thief.
So it would seem.
Persona. However, different actress. And that was actually the original girl who played young Catwoman. It was her decision. I read that she sat down with the directors and she said... I've played her this entire time. I don't think I could play her as an older person.
Sure. So it totally worked.
And it worked. They found someone who looked like the older version.
It was believable for sure.
And it really was. And of course, when she's doing that whole stealing the diamond, you see like the shadow from the ceiling.
And she knew
it was
who
Bruce.
It was.
She felt
She didn't know who Batman was or that there was a Batman, but she said... I was out the other night. Someone was watching me. I know it was Bruce.
Yes.
And they've done a good job of showing that connection between Bruce and Selina, so that would make sense. I would believe that she would feel his presence there.
Yeah. Because she's been around him this entire time, whether it be his scent, whether it be just a feeling, and which, could also be a big push to, in the future. We know there's a whole comic series where Batman and Catwoman get married. So that kind of plays on that. Like, there's this... She'll always know it's him.
They have the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And the girl is beautiful. I can't remember her name. But I loved at the gala she walks up to Alfred, who's got a cane and older. They've aged him a lot better because Bane hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, he can't just come back after 10 years and expect, he can't run this town. This isn't his, So I did enjoy that. I really enjoyed that. And then, we find out that Jeremiah, Jay, whatever, has been... He
said, there's no Jeremiah here.
Yeah, there's no... I don't see it, Jeremiah.
And he said, call me Jay, I don't know.
I don't know.
And then later on he did say, it was a couple lines later, he said, oh, that was a joke.
Yeah.
So they're really trying hard to hit that.
But they can't say it.
Yeah.
You know. Which, why can't they?
I did know the answer to this. I think it might have something to do with the new Joker solo movie coming out later this year. It might be related to that. Not 100% sure. We'll have to look that up. But you're right. They did not say Joker. They never said Joker. But it's very clear that he is the Joker.
I mean, he even wears the old yellow gloves, purple trench coat, the undershirt. Mm-hmm. I mean,
he's the Joker.
He looks like a troll in the end because he's fallen in the vat of acid.
Oh, but it was so good, though.
Oh, he was
perfect.
Terrifying.
Cameron Monaghan, that's how you say his name, right?
Yeah.
He played Joker, and we got to see him in like season 1 or 2 as this young kid
the circus.
at the circus. And toward the end of the episode, they kind of revealed that was where they were going with it, and we were so excited. That was one of those times, and I was like, "Oh, yes, this is great. This is exactly what I was. This kind of thing is what I wanted to see in this show."
Because they were just like, "Because that's how you killed your mother, right, Jerome?" And he just goes,
right,
and goes into this crazy laugh, and his eyes change, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh." Yeah. And that's the same episode that you meet Robin's parents.
You see Robin as a little baby.
Yeah, as a little baby.
Yeah.
He has technically played 5 versions of himself.
Okay, so that's one of the things. I feel like that just dilutes the story so much. Mm-hmm. Like I was saying, how many times do you want to do the we killed him, we brought him back, we killed him, we brought him back?
Because he played Jerome, the first brother. He played the original Maniac brother, Jerome. Then Jerome dies.
He fell off a cliff
fell
or
off
something
fell
like
off
that.
a building or something, dies, and gets brought back by Doctor Strange. But his face is all screwed up. And he's a little more Joker-esque, a little more insane. He's got the staples holding his face together. That's like the 3rd version of himself. And then he fixes his face a little bit, starts painting himself white some, wears a little bit more purple-esque colors. More of the Jack Nicholson type Joker. Wears the hat, runs around with Ra's al Ghul, stuff like that. Then we meet his twin brother, Jeremiah, who is kind and nice and smart. He plays him too. Then Jerome dies again, finally, but leaves a gift for Jeremiah, turning him into the Joker.
It was just way too much.
Who then does the Joker persona, then falls in acid, and now he's the final.
It was just way too much.
It's just a lot.
It was, yeah. And that was the type of thing that made me lose interest. It was just very forced. How can we drag this out into another season, and another season, and another one? And I honestly could have seen them.
Had I taken it, again, I'm not a DC director. I'm not a film director. I'm not a TV director.
You're just a fan.
I'm just a fan. But I probably would have handled it as there's 20 episodes, 21 episodes, 22 episodes, something like that. Half a season is a villain, and it ends. And that villain's locked up. Half a season's another villain, it ends. Blah, blah, blah. Moving forward. Not keeping them like, okay, well...
Reintroduce them 7 times. We
have Ed and Oswald doing this over here, but we don't want to lock them up, so what can we do with them? Let's give them a weird storyline.
They would team them up with somebody, and then what do you know?
Fish Mooney.
Right. Who also was brought back from the dead.
Yes.
And then, what do you know? One of them betrays the other one. Oh, wow, what a shock.
They're villains. It was very repetitive. It could have been done in less than 5 seasons.
For sure. I think it would have been a lot more effective as just like a mini-series or even just a couple of seasons.
A series of unfortunate events is done. 3 seasons, all the books.
There you go.
Boom. We're done.
There you go.
We've told our story. We've gotten you where we're at. And then, now I know they did use the kid who plays Bruce. It's a weird last name.
He was Robert California's son on The Office.
Yes, he was in the Halloween episode.
I'll tell you that.
He was. He was the face of Batman in the end. And they fused his voice with the body actor of Batman to get Batman's voice. I had to go, Selena. Those lines were actually a fusion of his voice with the adult actor who's playing the body of Batman.
Wow.
And then
like
they
a lot of work.
superimposed this kid's aged face, CGI-wise, onto the Batman body for the last...
ridiculous.
It was a lot.
All of that
just
for
casting...
For a 2-second shot?
Yeah, for a 2-second shot.
Isn't it crazy to think that 5 seasons of this show all led to the culmination of just that one shot of just seeing Batman
standing on
at the end? That's it.
Because it's the only time you see him.
And speaking of, don't you feel like they all kind of know who he is?
I'm Batman.
Because in the last moment, it's like Jim Gordon and Harvey and Alfred are standing around the bat signal, or what's going to become the bat signal.
And he even says, Alfred says something about, like, you told him when you were a kid, when he was a kid, and you gave him hope. You told him that there would be a light in the darkness in the end, and that you gave him hope, you changed him. And then Batman shows up, but great. Bruce isn't there.
And it's like, oh yes, Master Bruce wanted to be here, but he was detained, and Jim says, oh, he's sure been busy here lately. It's like, gee guys, Bruce Wayne's back in town, and suddenly there's this dude dressed like a bat showing up here. And,
saving people,
wrapping Penguin and Riddler up around a lamppost. And they're even standing there talking about Bruce with Bruce's butler. And they look up and there's Batman. And Harvey's like, oh, well, who is he? I'm Batman. He's a friend.
A friend. At that point, if I were any of those three, logically I'd be like,
hey, Bruce. Hey, buddy.
Bruce, bud.
Long time no see.
Man?
Yeah.
You have filled out, my boy.
So, I guess I'm wondering, I'm okay with it if the intention was they're supposed to know. In this world, in this version of Batman,
they already know.
They all know who he is.
I'm Batman. Even if it's
but I feel like if that was the point, they would have made it even more definite. They know who he is. But to me, it felt super hard to go along with the idea that they didn't know who he was based on the conversation that they were having and then looking up right at him.
Almost like we have these conversations about the WWE too. Almost like they think we're dumb. As an audience, as fans. Do you seriously think that after all that dialogue, after this entire episode, that the 3 men there, number one, after watching what Bruce became, Bruce stood on that wall with them and defended Gotham with gadgets, with his kung fu that Alfred taught him. Then he disappears. Then 10 years later, he comes back, is a recluse all of a sudden, and here comes this vigilante who's beating the crap out of people with gadgets. They have to be... even Harvey's got to be sitting there going, it's Bruce Wayne.
Exactly. And I don't know that that's what their intention was, but for me, that was kind of a...
That was, especially being the last moments.
But other than that, I think we both enjoyed that episode. I
did.
I probably could have gone the whole show just seeing certain episodes, and it would have been a lot happier. Or even just the last one. Because the last one was really what, like I've said earlier...
It was the culmination.
It was what the whole thing was leading to. This whole episode was what they were working toward.
Yeah.
And it did pay off, I guess.
Well, and it did, because you got to see those quintessential moments with, like you said, Riddler.
The finishing touches.
Yeah, the finishing touches.
This is the world of Batman that you know.
That you started watching in
Pretty
'89,
much.
or, whenever you started watching, like the tying up of Riddler and Penguin. While they're sitting there in their suits, and they've been in the limo together,
right.
And then all of a sudden, here comes...
And the smoke, and the whoosh, and the disappearing.
Busting out the window.
And the
I'm not your enemy.
Yeah, the voice.
Yeah.
The batarangs.
Yes.
That was cool.
Those were like greatest hit moments.
Yep.
For every fan of that.
It's like, here's all this stuff for you, fans. Sorry it took 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 40 minutes, here's all your moments that you've been dying to get to for these 5 seasons.
So what's our overall...
As a show, as like a series, or just that episode? But, as a series, I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
That episode, probably a 4 out of 5.
Okay. I'm going to say, like, as a whole, like a 2 out of 5. Mm-hmm. Because I was never really super jazzed about it. And then that episode, I would agree, like a 4 out of 5. Because I
think a lot of
especially
that
the second time.
Is Batman guy.
Yeah.
You know, I think anything, even it could be the worst Batman thing ever, but my nostalgia and fandom will always give a handicap.
Your bias.
Yeah, my bias. It'll give it like a handicap.
Sure.
You know,
That's
an
fair.
extra star. You know, like if you were playing putt-putt or something and people knew you were bad, you'd get a handicap score. Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, it was enjoyable. It had its high times. It had its very low times. When it was low, it was low.
Yep.
And it had its drug out times. But I think it all culminated very well.
Speaking of high and low times, shall we fill everyone in on our big news, our big secret that we promised?
The secret. Just in the early stages of this podcast, we've started gaining some fans already, and just from the first podcast and from the trailer, got some interest from some people from Marble City Comic Con.
Yeah, Marble City Comic Con. Have you not heard about this? It's going to be this great big deal in Knoxville this summer. It's going to be June 1st and the 2nd at the Knoxville Expo Center on Clinton Highway. It's going to be a big Comic Con. A few people, just to name a few. Jeremy London, an actor, he was in Seventh Heaven and Mallrats.
Yes.
So we can maybe ask him some Kevin Smith questions, because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan.
I'm sure he's in Mallrats too.
Okay, maybe. Sean Patrick Flannery, he was in the Boondock Saints along with Norman Reedus. He was in one of the Saw movies. He was in Saw 3D, I think.
Yes.
And, did you know, he also played young Indiana Jones.
In the flashback?
No. That was Joaquin Phoenix's brother, River Phoenix. This was like a show that they did a long time ago. Yeah, so he played a young Indy. So lots of questions for him about that when we see him.
Oh, cool.
If you're a wrestling fan, Hornswoggle, former WWE superstar, known for
Cruiserweight champion,
being Cruiserweight champion, and also
a leprechaun,
playing a leprechaun. Also, Cowboy James Storm. He was a major star in TNA wrestling.
Yes,
as a
tag team,
part of a tag team, Beer Money.
Beer Money with Robbie Roode,
who is now a big WWE
who's
star.
Now going by Robert Roode.
James Storm also had a little tenure in NXT. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he's a big deal. But all these guys are going to be at Marble City Comic Con. They're going to have a big Wrestling Fan Fest event that weekend too that you can check out. There's going to be several other celebrities and artists, panels, contests, cosplay, vendors, everything you can think of is going to be at this thing. It's going to be the real deal, guys. And not only all this great stuff, but yours truly and my cohort here. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing a live podcast, from what I understand.
These people.
Maybe
getting to talk to some of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
pretty exciting news.
It's gonna be great. So if you can't be there, you can sort of be there when you tune in with us on June 1st and 2nd. But what would be even better is if you just join us there in person.
We might even pull you up in our booth and ask you questions.
Don't scare them away.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just wave at you.
We'll leave you alone. We'll give you your space. We'll smile, say hello from a distance.
Yes.
Unless you want to come.
I mean, if you want to come on.
Be on the show and have some questions for us or for the people we're going to hopefully be sitting down with, then come right along. But either way, whatever's good with you is good with us.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And that's June 1st and June 2nd. So it'll be 2 days.
And that's Marble City Comic Con.
Knoxville, baby, in Knox Vegas.
Gonna be a big deal.
It really is.
Big show.
It's gonna be a big shoe.
Pretty big shoe.
It's gonna be a big show, and it's just gonna be a big show to start many other big shows. Like, you never know, man. I mean, before you know it, we may be at Dragon Con.
That is the new goal.
That's the new goal after this is Dragon Con.
So,
look
out, Dragon Con.
If you have any questions that you'd like us to ask anybody at this Marvel City, or if you want to suggest maybe a show that you want us to talk about, you can like us on Facebook.
Give us a 5-star review.
30 Nerdy Podcast, and that's 30, the number 30. 30 and Nerdy Podcast on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at 30 and Nerdy Pod, or email us at 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. You can ask any question you want. We'll answer it if we can get to it, or you can suggest an episode.
Except for our phone
You
numbers.
can't ask for our phone numbers.
Because I know you want them after this
incredible
incredibly...
news.
That and this incredibly fascinating discussion about Batman that we just had. All the ladies are just
Dying
overwhelmed.
to know more about Batman.
So they want our phone numbers to ask
About Batman. And the next podcast, we've given you enough time, and I think even the Russo brothers have said, okay.
As of today,
it's supposed to be safe to spoil.
But you know what? I'm not going to be that guy.
No, absolutely.
So you got another week or so here, people, and then we got to talk about it because it's the biggest movie of all time, and that's
it's
a
just
fact.
past Titanic.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a fact, Jack. So if you haven't seen it, get on it and get it done. Son.
Avengers Endgame. It will be a spoiler-heavy podcast, so you have a week from today to see this movie.
So do it to it.
Do it to it. All right. Anything else, Bro Chacho?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
I'm spent.
You're spent. That's all I got. And there's another one in the books.
Another one.
Oh, man. You take her easy.
I'll do it.
And we'll get on down the road here.
Let's go. And we'll see you all on the flippity flip.
Flippity flip.
All right.